Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome back to the second GG No Reread live show.
We love
This
a
is,
live show. It's fun.
yeah, a
Yeah.
momentous occasion for sure. If you're not familiar with GG No Reread, it is the sub series of
Yeah, our literary arm,
our
right?
literary arm, yeah. Although I think that all of our arms are holding a book to some extent. Uh, no Cartridge, of course, being the beloved video game podcast.
Yes, right. And GG No Reread being the beloved literary arm of the beloved video game podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And in this segment of GG No Reread, we read The Monster House of
Oh, we have the
Leaves.
same one. We have the same copy of the book.
Yeah.
That's good. You have
But
I don't have as many notes, but I do. Yeah, I like the. Can I say about this that it reminds me of books that I got when I was a kid, where you could find things.
yeah, it looks
It
like
would be
I
like find,
Spy.
yeah, that's what they were called. I Spy, like find, 7 stamps, find, it definitely made me want to play that book every time I opened it.
Yeah, and mine's a removable sleeve as well, so that's very exciting.
Oh, mine's stuck in there. Come on.
I also loved in Computer Lab, they had the I Spy CD-ROM games, like the computer games. Did you never play it as a computer game too?
Well, no, I didn't, but I did play. So I don't know if you're watching the Tim Robinson vehicle, The Chair Company.
I just started. I just downloaded it last night. We haven't watched it yet.
It's quite good. But they play one of the games in it. There's a scene where they do it. That's not a spoiler. And I recognized it, and it was amazing because we used to go to this diner that had a machine out front that you could like play while you were waiting for your table, I guess. And it had a thing where you spotted the difference between two pictures. It wasn't quite like I Spy, but it was spot the difference. And some of them were erotic spot the difference, which was really uncomfortable. But yeah, no, it's that's the closest I've gotten to digital I Spy. I don't think it's as good.
No, because I Spy was very lovingly crafted too. Like the photography was so nice, and then the game really treated it well as well. That there was like lovely animations and music, sound effects, etc.
I really liked in the I Spy books. I liked how the photography kind of like it straddled a line between like, obviously functional for the sake of the book, but then also this very staged artistic sort of approach that reminds me of a lot of schools of photography. Like it was very intentional. It's just neat. Like it's neat looking back on it and thinking about those pictures. Actually has, and I get why Danielewski used it, because it has a lot to do with the book and like the idea of placement and the things being in or out of place. This is like, that's like a big part of House of Leaves, like the delicately constructed thing with one little thing off, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure he did all of the book design for this, Mr. Danielewski. But people also point to this copy as being like, oh, well, this is like a certain amount of inches bigger than the
funny.
cover.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like a quarter of inch or whatever, but
see, I thought he did do. Do you think he did not do all the design? Because I thought he did. Oh no, it's Eric Fuentesilla. Because
yes.
I know that I guess I assumed because it was because he does all the art and like the various text coloring and things like that. I thought since he sort of like moonlights as an artist that he had done this, but I tip my to Mr. Quintessia.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that lately, about the idea of a book being a solo venture is like, a fantasy, that it's like, a singular authored work. That is, I think, really interesting to me. And just things that I didn't think required so much recognition before, like book covers, feeling more superficial than talking about what's within the book. I have, kind of turned on that idea.
Yeah.
And whenever there's this like influx of AI art on covers, even by big publishers, you have to, I think, start to more publicly appreciate book design and covers and how
Yeah.
it's not really a singular author of a work.
Honestly, it's interesting because I think there's this whole appreciation that comes for craft after after you sort of realize what craftless art looks like, for lack of a better word. Like I feel this way about painted sets too. When you look at old Hollywood movies, and like Hitchcock movies have this a lot, where there'll be like a set in the background and it'll be like a wonderfully like painted set. And it, given enough scrutiny, yes, it looks painted. It's sort of like it's an accepted sort of thing. Like, we agree as the audience that this isn't real, but it's real enough, right? But they're gorgeous, and they give so much more depth and feeling than does like a CGI background of like a city that you put in because you filmed from an apartment in a green screen. Like Rear Window would look so different without a painted set. And part of what makes that movie so brilliant is the way that the set feels more claustrophobic and more closed in because of those choices. And I think like I wouldn't necessarily have thought that. I wouldn't necessarily have gone there had I not seen a million Marvel movies that have everything green screened, right? Like there's nothing real here. So like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, actually I miss the real thing. I never thought of that before.
Yeah, I like being the super real thing being pointed at rather than the falseness not being acknowledged. Like I'd much rather see the miniature city of Blade Runner than I would a fully rendered hyperreal photographic version of New York City and Spider-Man or whatever.
Yeah, it's the problem of like I think about this a lot, and I think we probably talked about it, but like like they keep talking about, if it ever comes out, they keep talking about like GTA 6 having this massive city, and we've all seen maybe we haven't all, but like I'm sure you have. I have the maps where it's like GTA 3 and it shows how big it was, the GTA Vice City and it shows how big it was, and then GTA 4 and it's even bigger, and the map just gets bigger and bigger. And I get the impulse. I get the idea of like, okay, we're gonna just keep upping the game, right? And that's of course with realism too. It's always just like we're gonna make it better. We're gonna make it better. And then at a certain point, though, I feel like you produce something that is not. I feel like, and this is actually something that I think there's a lot of and maybe Edith Finch. You don't even have to give this this caveat, but I think like, for me anyway, I worry a little bit about the pretentiousness of Danielewski at times. Like, obviously, he's a pretty pretentious guy. He's kind of a pretentious writer. I still love the book. And part of the reason I love the book is because it understands the value of artifice and fake things, and how like having a story is important, even if everyone kind of can understand that it's fake. And I think as like there's something meaningful about a small area that tells a story, like a Pathologic and Pathologic 2 are this way, where like there's a lot going on in those games, but it's not necessarily because they're on a huge footprint of land that you're exploring forever, because the huge footprint really doesn't have any direction. It's just trying to ape the real world, and thereby doesn't have a lot of meaning to it.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it is pretentious in some ways to create something like this, but I think that it's not really that it's I think that he's not afraid to be corny in this at all, and not afraid to have excess. And in my readings, like there's a lot of different interesting things he was referenced in here and pulled a lot from The Poetics of Space by Gaston Bachelard. And that is something that in my copy as well, he wrote the introduction to it, or like a new preface or anything. And even in his preface, he like highlighted all of the houses blue in this like different book, like pulling it into the world. And a big part of that is like not being afraid to reference, and that there's like a huge richness in being able to pull in as an excessive amount of references.
Yeah.
And why I originally was talking about Poetics of Space, let me think about why I was already pulling that in. I was thinking about that. Oh, I was thinking about that in Poetics of Space, he's talking about that everyone in some way has a home as soon as, and not like necessarily owns a house or anything like that, but as soon as you are around enough, even when you're in nature, if you're around enough rocks, you'll start imagining them as walls, that you're trying to make houses wherever you are. And talking about that people are scared to reference like the primitiveness of that, and are immediately trying to intellectualize it. And I do think that, you know, that's kind of what he's doing here too, is like just like not being afraid to have that excess and to spend a lot of time in the primitiveness of it, even whenever you're you know, talking about it as something like Johnny Truant's footnotes in this, that it's not afraid to de-intellectualize as much as possible such an intellectual work.
Yeah, I agree, and I you know, I think one of the easy sort of analogs to the way he's writing and the concerns he has in his fiction is Borges, and I'm sure I'm not the first or the last person to say that, but there, you know, the idea of the fictional libraries and the fictional, you know, bibliographies and all these things, like the Borges's fictions are all about creating these fictional sort of like reference points and referential spaces. And what I like about House of Leaves is how, and actually also, I mean, I don't want to keep drawing it in this way, but it's also something in Edith Finch. It's this richness of reference that being fictional constantly sort of like, you know, devalues the quality of the reference. Like it's fictional and thereby being so excessive and so obviously fake, but also so obviously like, you know, referential to the story itself. It becomes this sort of like, it both is a rich text and a text that says, you know, if you just focused on the footnotes, if you just focused on the intellectual, if you just focused on the things that are being given to you as, you know, a college educated person or whatever, you're never going to get this text. It's never going to make sense to you. You have to break away from those as well, because they're part of it. They're just like, they're a piece. They're not the whole. And I think he does a good job of that. I think Borges obviously like sort of throws down the gauntlet with those, but I don't think there's a lot of people that do it better than Danielewski, kind of like following that up.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like so inspired by the things that he is like referencing, and being able to like make it into like a physical object, like take the theory and make it into something readable, like referencing the Roland Barthes, the reality effect, which says like, if analysis seeks to be exhaustive, it inevitably encounters notations which have no function, or which no function can justify. They seem to correspond to a kind of narrative luxury, lavish to the point of offering many futile details, thereby increasing the cost of narrative information. And narrative luxury, I think, is the name of the game with, with House of Leaves.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is really like, in a lot of ways, this is like a formalist nightmare, and a structuralist nightmare in Bart's case, or post-structuralist, where you sort of take the. It's like, I think, how do I say this? Like, I mentioned this in the podcast, I think, but like the you know, the Winchester House is used all the time as a metaphor of like postmodern or post-structuralist thought, because it's a house that is not built by way, or, you know, mythologically, I don't know if this is really the case or why she built the house this way, but of course the Winchester, the widow of the Winchester who got the Winchester fortune, supposedly driven mad by the guilt of all the people that her fortune killed vis-a-vis guns, and built tons of spaces in her house just to stop the chatter of the ghosts in her head. This is, of course, the myth, and the myth basically says, this isn't being built as a space to live; it's being built as a space of like psychosis, of irrationality, right? And I think what's interesting about like that as a post-structuralist thing is that you get beyond reference, and that's always the dream. What's interesting about House of Leaves is it's saying, actually, like, that impulse now is the reference. There's no beyond reference. It's just a different referentiality. And I think that's such a nice way of pivoting from Bart into something new, which is always the challenge with post-structuralists. They always say something very pat. And you're just like, I agree. I think this text
Great job.
Yeah, right. I think this text kind of provokes in a really compelling way, further thought beyond that.
And there's much to be said about just how long this book is, and how much of it people do not want to read. And whenever I was like doing reading too, and thinking about like how people are maybe not necessarily wanting to interact with the primitiveness of the house, and likening that to the abject. Like, it feels like almost like a rejection of the abject, which is, of course, whenever I have to trot out my Kristeva again, like, this is
always
the text that I always have to come to. Hello, welcome in, Mr. Alexander Doom. Happy to see ya.
Very happy to see you. I had to text in and say hi. Yeah, no, Kristeva is so great. Just like I'm really glad you brought her in, because just such a wonderful. I think one of the things that bothers me about discussions of trauma in theory, particularly, is that trauma studies always it desires a kind of legibility, and comes at it from almost a clinical or pathological approach. Elaine Scarry kind of famously in Bodies in Pain, or The Body in Pain, excuse me, comes up with the very real and true insight that you can't describe pain. You can't put a name to pain, right? But then goes on to sort of say, why this is important within a national sense, or a rights-based discourse, or something like that. And those are important conversations to have, of course. But what I love about Kristeva, and I'll let you talk about her connection to House of Leaves, which you're going to be better at than me. But what I love about Kristeva is, like, when she talks about trauma, it's also within the concept of like deconstruction and the destruction of language. Like, it's not just, this is hard to convey. This is beyond conveyance. Like, this breaks conveyance in a way that we then have to like re-understand rationality. It's not just that like you can't say it. It's that in not being able to say it, it reveals so many more problems within speech itself, or communication itself.
Mr. Alexander Doom saying that they read House of Leaves many years ago, haven't played Edith Finch. Here to hear the chat. And that is, jump in with your thoughts whenever. We this is a very casual book club thing, but in the absence of anyone else talking, we will yap. We are ready.
We're good at it. Yeah, no, absolutely. And also, I will say, if you read House of Leaves, you can play Edith Finch. It's like 2 hours. It is a parent terror simulator. So understand that if you have children and don't like to see children die, you probably should not play Edith Finch.
I did not understand that you said parent terror. I thought you were saying like a French phrase that I wasn't familiar with.
It's as Louis Althusser says, and I'll get the accent right here. No, parent terror. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to be okay with the idea of this kid eating mentholated toothpaste and dying. Like, I just have to strap in.
The passage that I because there's like different essays within this. Yes, that is actually what I was hearing, and it kind of is that.
It is that, yeah. It's the Arcades project. Finally, we have it, and it's a video game.
I would recommend, playing it. Yeah. Okay, that I'm ready to pre-order day one.
That is scary.
But in the first thing coming up to this is very frequently it's talking about Celine in this, and talking about the stylistic 3 dots of the text. Very frequently, the 3 dots come at the end of complete clauses where no ellipsis is involved, and the 3 dots rather point to the overflowing of the clause into a higher unit of enunciation. Thinking about how upsetting it is to see just like 3 dots, but there's not actually any elided idea. And I feel like that to me is like some of what's going on in House of Leaves that feels really upsetting. It's like, what do you like? You're not why are you leaving me on a ledge? Like you told me stuff, and now like I feel like I'm being just like drifted into the void. Like what's going on there?
Right. You get it's not like you'd get in like prestige TV where you're given a puzzle box and then certain things aren't explained, so you still have like your intrigue attached to it or something like that. It is truly like I've given you everything and you're not going to feel good about it because there's no certain things won't have concluding feelings by design.
And I think like the idea of like so many people, I don't know if you're aware of how that House of Leaves has kind of become a social media phenomenon as well. It's left the academy. It's in the hands of TikTokers. But so many people are like, you can just skip the footnotes. It's like not the real story. And like that to me is what the meaning of it is. And like
yes,
the book drives you to want to skip the footnotes frequently. And it's like you are trying to in fear of the abject and of the primitiveness of the text, trying to correct it into a normal book. You are saying, if I could read this without the footnotes, without the frame story, this could be a novel that I could understand and wouldn't upset me. And so I just think reading these texts together feels like the way to read the book, that it is like such a richness of reference that it's in conversation with these other things that it is referencing
absolutely
so much.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. And I think actually you read the book in an even more robust way than I did in reading the secondary sources as well that are, real and not cited, like the Kristeva, like the Bart. I also think like it reminds me what you're saying of when people say about Moby Dick, one of my famously one of my top 3 books. They say, just read. You don't have to read it all. Just like skip the parts about the whaling. And it's like, I be like, that's the whole book. Just like you missed the like, and it's not, like the actual narrative and stuff like that. It's all important. But, Herman Melville wrote adventure stories. You can go read like Omu if you want to see what Herman Melville is going to be doing in like, a rip roaring adventure tale that doesn't mean as much as Moby Dick. But the whole point of Moby Dick is that the cetology chapters are like a critical part of the book that's trying to tell you something. And, ignoring that sort of, this is not a, get out of your ivory tower and safe spaces talk. But I think there's a discomfort in reading that has nothing to do with trauma, but has everything to do with boredom and like, kind of emotional disruption of having to read footnotes and things that are strange to you or whatever. That I think Moby Dick and more so House of Leaves, because it's following Melville, like they really desire you to actually like engage, right? Like they want you to read it. They want you to feel all of those things, because if you don't, then you're reading it I don't know. I've always felt like the actual sort of like scary story in here is great. It's compelling. But it's kind of like it's so not the point to me that you could almost say it's like a little creepypasta or something like that. It's like the house that was too big on the inside. Like, it's scary, but like I don't really care
the
that much
2-sentence horror stories Reddit.
Right. And like, without the frame, it's not the same thing. Like, and actually it's the same with Edith Finch. Like, it's not that the stories aren't good on their own, but without the frame of like being told the stories through these second and third tier like abstractions, I mean, it would be so much less rich. It really like the, not to go all Marshall McLuhan, but like the medium's the message in this case.
What do you think, Trevor? What's the likeliness that we will be doing Gravity's Rainbow?
I would love to do Gravity's Rainbow. That would be so fun. I have a great copy of it that actually I thought I had lost, but it turns out I loaned to my buddy Emerson, who just had a baby. So, well, he didn't have the baby, but he helped in the creation of the baby. So he's busy right now, and I don't think he's going to read it. So he'll send it back to me. I'll get to read it. Yeah,
I do have our next book here. So Neuromancer is the next thing we're covering.
What a cool cover! Your cover's so much better than mine. Mine's just gone. It has a cool sphere though, which is like
pretty cool.
He is. I like. So there's this guy on here that looks like he's from a Vertigo comic book or something like that. But yeah, I could see doing Gravity. If people would love to see it, I can see doing Gravity's Rainbow with Fallout New Vegas. Honestly, that would be kind of a neat one.
That would be kind of cool. I have 2. We've already talked a little bit about our books for next year. We have 3 of the books figured out, so there is a mystery.
There's room for a fourth.
Could be Gravity's Rainbow, but
I do love a pension.
Yeah, but I have 2 of the books that we'll talk about at the end of the book club. We'll leave that till the end because but I'll preview 2 of the books that we'll talk about next year. Yeah, that sounds fun. I actually haven't played New Vegas, so that would be a good
I don't know if I ever finished it. It would be a good reason to. I stepped into my house, but my house was too big. That's right. It was basically like it's funny. It is the Moby Dick problem of like if you just say what the book's about, you're just like, well, that's boring or that's derivative. Like, yeah, it's a guy who is chasing after a whale, but it turns out the whale is not really what he wants. He wants revenge against the world. Like he has a thing called monomania, and he doesn't know what he's doing. He's driven mad by his ambitions, like some people are. And it's like that sounds like the worst. It's like, okay, great. Can you write something else? Like Shakespeare's covered this. But like, I feel like this is something that I guess I'm old, so I can be old now and I can say old person things. I feel like this is something that is being lost a little bit with TikTok and book talk and stuff like that. Not that I don't deride book talk. I'm fine with it. And I think it's cool that people are reading. But what I think is maybe lost a little bit in discussions about what should be read, lists, things that are good, things that just like the constant sort of like contentization of life, which happens not just on TikTok, but it's a good symptom of it. I think what's missing in that is the fact that like a lot of times a book's plot is not only secondary, but like sometimes tertiary to the point of it, right? Like,
yeah,
like asking what a book is about. Sometimes I was taken by someone. It was just like a skeet or a tweet. I can't remember, but like it was someone had pointed out that James Cameron was talking about why the T-1000 first appears as a cop. And he said it's because cops are trained to see people as less than human, as sort of like instrumental to them, and it's how they do their job, and so it relates to a Terminator. And someone just said, or the T-1000 just saw a cop first, and that was what it was. And it's like that's the brain that you get if you're just doing plot, where you're just like, no, someone wrote the story, man. Like someone chose these.
Yeah, that's the same people who think everything's a plot hole. It's the whatever that channel is that the film you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
That's
I do.
always
I do. I do. Yeah, and that's what to make fun of, like, I guess lovingly so, but he doesn't. He doesn't know me. He's very famous. That Vadi Vidya guy who does the Souls stuff, and every single time he does a reading of someone in a Souls game, it's always like, this tragic figure brought to tears by their terrible fate. It's like, okay, like, we don't have to. This is a little much. I think you know, a book like House of Leaves being popular within that space is really interesting because it's a book that actively pushes back against
yeah,
plot
but
readings.
it's in the vein of people who read a little life so they can cry react to it. Like, it's a book to react to. Um and what a book to react to. I just
Oh,
like
I mean, yeah. This is the Resident Evil of reaction books. Like, I mean, you're gonna be scared, Alien Isolation style.
but I do love what you were saying earlier about the TikTokification of reading or whatever. Not BookTube. We all love BookTube, and we're subscribed to Olivia's BookTube. We love it.
Yeah, you notice I did not say BookTube. We listen. If it even has to be said, like, I pledge allegiance, man. Like, absolutely. No, it's the talk. The talk's the one I'm questioning.
Smash that like button. Smash that subscribe. We love it here. But going back to Poetics of Space, actually, a quote from Baudelaire about like fertile laziness, sites of interiority and contemplation and secrecy, the fertile laziness, like really taking your time with books. I got more comments, like people reaching out to me. It wasn't a lot. People don't I wish people would listen to the podcast and then at me and talk to me about the podcast. That's my favorite thing. But I mean,
Mine
talking
too.
to you is my favorite thing, but then, it's a close second. But people talking about like, what does it mean to have read House of Leaves, was something that people got something out of, and talking about like the necessity of what does it mean to have read a book, to have read all the footnotes, to have solved all the puzzles of it, to have connected all of the references, to understand all of the references that are in it, and applying that here has created such joy in reading for me, to be taking more notes by hand. Like, I write notes for all of our GGNO rereads. Like, it's something that I like doing. I like really diving into the books and the text. But this I've done so much more for, and I've just like, it's awakened like a level of reading that I've really, really missed, and really slowing down. And that phrase, like fertile laziness, like being slow and just like really giving time for connections to grow, is such a has made it so pleasurable for me. And I think that Bachelor would love that. He is Poetics of Space. Like, Kristeva, would I recommend that everyone read this? No. Like, I don't think it's like necessarily like
I recommend everyone read it. Go for it.
I mean, I think it's a really good book. I love it. But it wouldn't be where I would suggest anyone start if they're trying to get into reading critical theory. I don't think, like, it's very abstract, and it takes so much joy in crafting weird sentences that it's like not the most accessible start. Poetics of Space is so beautiful. It is like very easy to approach. It's so warm and optimistic. Like, it's just like a very beautiful book. And like, I think that if you're having a hard time, like, I do think it's like something that I would like to see people lean into, is to being like optimistic, to not jump to the only serious thing is criticism, but that there is joy in primitive enjoyment of things, that there's joy in poetry and the abstract and the slowness of things. So
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
don't know.
agree. I think
Impacted me.
there's a proud tradition, particularly in 20th century thought. I think with that. I mean, Brecht. That's a very Brechtian perspective. If you read Brecht and read his plays or his his theory as well, like a lot of it has to do. Brecht is not always happy, but the kind of like the representation of the abject as something that is aggressive or abrasive or funny or momentary or something like that, I think has a lot to do with that. I think Roland Barthes' mythologies is something similar to this, where like I don't know if everyone's read that, but like it's a neat book.
What an insane thing to say.
Sorry. Yeah, it is an insane, because everyone of course has read it. I'm so sorry. What a pretentious thing for me to say. I apologize. No, Roland Barthes' mythologies is really great because it's a series of small observations he does. Like some of them are 3 to 5 pages of the text. It's a short book, but like he goes and watches a wrestling match and thinks about what it means and sort of like tries to unpack it structurally. Or he'll see a movie, or like but he's biking, taking a walk. And they're just like, there are these moments in time where he just kind of like takes something very seriously for a little bit, and sometimes comes up with something and sometimes doesn't. Like some of the chapters are really important, some of the chapters aren't. And I think like that approach to art and life, that it's like you're not trying to complete something, you're just viewing things in different lenses, in different ways, trying to see the world differently, and or experience something that you haven't experienced before, or whatever, right? Like it's not about finishing, it's about kind of just like existing and continuing to question and find richness in that existence.
That's beautiful. I was reminded whenever you said that insane thing of I wrote LOL by a sentence in Powers of Horror today, because Christopher wrote, "Does one write under any other condition than being possessed by abjection in an indefinite catharsis?" Like,
I would say no. She's right.
You know what?
No one writes otherwise.
maybe not.
These are my people. This is like literally this is what being in grad school is. My one of my advisors on my dissertation, the professor I very much enjoyed working with, but who was also just a very strange man, a very intense man, would say that he said this jokingly, but he was not joking. He said the only book he would never read was Moby Dick. He was an Americanist, and he thought it was funny that he never read Moby Dick. And I mean, he was wildly successful, so he could do that. But the other thing he said is, if anyone ever asks you if you've read something and you haven't, don't admit that you haven't read it. Just say you haven't read it recently. And you're always supposed to say, I haven't read that. No, not recently. So you can play like you don't remember it. But
I think that you do that, Trevor.
I do.
I think
100%, Liv. It is the anxiety and like fear of those things you internalize. It's just like, it's a lie you start telling, and you're just like, well, this is a great lie. People just believe it. And truly, it is the stupidest thing to do in the real world. It is a nice thing to do in academia, because people will be like, if you were like, oh, I haven't read mythologies, they'd be like, oh, really? Okay, well, guess someone missed their master's program. Jeez. All right, well, we'll start with the training wheels, I guess. You know what a symbol is? Like, it's really some of the worst people alive.
I love getting to this at this point in my life, because I think I would have been afraid, not even afraid, but I think just like not even aware of how humorous things are. Like how funny House of Leaves is, or how funny Powers of Horror can be. I don't know if it's accumulating, having read enough stuff, or living enough years. I don't know what makes it suddenly you're like, oh, they're being a little bit facetious. They're playing. It's maybe people are writing for reasons other than the infinite of abjection, or whatever she said.
I think the moment I kind of realized this was when I was reading Kathy Acker in my
Mm.
PhD, and one of the reasons I always cite Acker and I love her is because when I started reading her, I really didn't like her at all. Like it felt pointless. It felt overly sexualized. It felt like gotcha, like that she was doing something that was just pure spectacle. And like I was like, well, where's the meaning? What's the intention? What's the point here? What's that? And as you read Acker, like I think one of the things that she is so good at is forcing you to kind of recognize that, I mean, her writing, she is writing from a very not feminine but female perspective. Like I don't know quite the distinction between those two things, but it's certainly not
Yeah,
like
we'll unpack that later.
I'm just trying to think of what she would say. It's very queer. It's very feminine. Let's say it's very much like this sort of like it is powerful. It's abrasive. But like it's doing this with the with the understanding that like yeah, you're gonna feel uncomfortable. My audience is gonna feel uncomfortable, and I think that's really funny that I'm gonna make them feel
Mm.
uncomfortable. Like, and I, realizing that, and then realizing you can be in on that joke with the author was so freeing, and opened up reading for me so much. Like realizing, like, oh, the author and I are sort of writing this book together in a certain way, not in a way that means it can mean anything, but a way that it means like I don't have to feel like I'm some sort of, archaeologist figuring out intention. This is art and it's meant to be engaged with, and it can be funny and it can be sad and it can be, incomprehensible, and you don't have to make sense of it. And I think, you know, it's not an insight everyone comes to naturally. I certainly did not come to it naturally. I had to read like hundreds of books and then, finally realize it. Um, so that's good. I think that's great that you've come to it naturally, because I certainly wasn't smart enough to. But I think it's important to kind of get there, because one of the things that bothers me so much about the way people consume art is uh they consume art and want to be able to say like, I got it, I did it, I
Mm.
solved it, I can do this, I know everything about this. Like, oh, it's this. Oh, you thought that was smart? Well, it wasn't. It was done this way or that way. And it comes from a conservative and a progressive. It's like every single stripe of person does that, and it is extremely reductive.
Mm. Yeah, Blood and Guts in High School is, the only thing that I've read by
Oh,
actor
it's a
so
brilliant
far.
book. Yeah, great, great
So
call.
funny. I was, like, laughing out loud, like, it was so
Hilarious book.
upsetting what was going on, and The Sluts too, I think, is, like, in that same vein of, like,
Excellent. Yeah.
transgressive work that is just, like,
Yes.
so funny.
Yeah, the other Acker I'd say to read is, that I have read. I guess all of them are good, but the other Acker I've read, the novel, is Great Expectations, which is,
Mm.
especially if you've read Dickens' Great Expectations, is hilarious. Just the funniest send up of Dickens that you can imagine, and much shorter too. So, if you want to read the classic comics version of Great Expectations to get an A on the test, why don't you just go ahead and read Kathy Acker's and see how that goes.
Mm.
But yeah, Blood and Guts in High School, hilarious. The whole Scarlet. I think about the Scarlet Letter bit in that book more often than most novels I've read, and it is a horribly sexual, violent, um, you know, pastiche of just like abjection, and it's awful. But it is at the same point so tongue in cheek. She clearly loves Hawthorne and fully sends up Hawthorne. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. It's exactly how you should read Hawthorne.
I feel like we almost need to do, like, a mini GG No Reread talking about horses and talking about,
Yeah.
th the abject in video games and how people, very threatened by anything transgressive or, rough around the edges at all, anything that you want to clean up and be understood in one way. Um, I think that text would also go well with this. Because Edith Finch, I don't remember having really any kind of backlash, although there are very upsetting things going on. I don't know if it has to be things of a sexual nature for people to get very threatened by it, or what it is exactly. But Edith Finch had some very horrifying child abuse and
Yeah.
neglect storylines in it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the interesting things about Edith Finch is that it is about child neglect and abuse. So I've been reading, not for any, amazingly, I've been reading again, not for content. This is something I try to do sometimes, not create content and make my life that way. It's hard, it's difficult, and everyone should be proud of me, but for persevering. But I've been reading The Shining, which is surprisingly excellent. I didn't know what to expect. I thought it would just kind of be pulpy and fun. It's very good. I think the best description of like a shitty man self-rationalizing is in that book, particularly when the narrator says, or the not the narrator, but the sort of like the Jack Nicholson character says of himself and the abuse he's heaped upon his family, which he doesn't see as abuse, but as like sort of like individual moments of anger. He says, like, life has engaged me and I have engaged with life, and it has assaulted me in a passive role. Like things just happen to me. Things happen to me all the time, and it's so frustrating how things happen to me. And I was like, wow, that's smart. Like, oh my God. But reading that is great because like you start realizing like this is a story about abuse in ways that I did not expect, and it's being extremely like careful and playful and, you know, open about that. And in the same way Edith Finch does. And of course, Edith Finch is written after the fact and it's a little more sophisticated as a result. Like, I feel like there's a million things that happen in Edith Finch where you're just like, oh, well, that's like the grandmother being weird, or like, oh, that's just like, yeah, you can't go to bed.
That was so unfortunate. Yeah.
Yeah,
that was what a happenstance bad thing to happen. Like,
yeah, oh, I sent my kid to bed.
The stars aligned to do something really horrible.
And if you just stop and think, like, yeah, it's the same thing. Like in Supernatural, it's one of the things that I complain about Blumhouse. I call it always Blumhouse. I shouldn't, because Blumhouse makes all sorts of stuff. But it's like that thing where it's just like, what if horror was actually about being sad? Like I think a lot of horror.
I don't think that's Blumhouse so much as like A24 movies.
Yeah, maybe it is A24. Yeah, you're right.
Blumhouse is more like, what if AI was really cool? What if AI was awesome sauce?
Okay, well, that's a different problem, and I think A24 might be better now that I'm thinking about it. But I don't think AI is awesome sauce at all.
Yeah, drag him.
Yeah, no, it's not Blumhouse. I call it that. I don't know why. It's something that I ended up doing, and I'm wrong to do it. But the you know, like the idea of like horror being sad, or like, you know, the terror of the whole thing ending up being this tragic mode as opposed to a terrifying mode. And it's an interesting insight. And I get mad because it's sort of like it ends up being formulaic, but I think in Edith Finch, it's done so well because you get to the sadness of the moment. Like I really am fixated on that toothpaste one, the first death, because it's so upsetting how like it's just like describing like, oh yeah, you know, I got in trouble, so I went to bed without dinner, and then I asked mom if I could eat something, and she said no, and so I just found stuff in holly berries and you know, toothpaste with all sorts of like, you know, bad things in it that can kill me. Mentholated toothpaste, I guess.
Gerbil
food, like and just like stuff that clearly causes this girl to start hallucinating and die. It's really upsetting, and you think like, wow, that is so rough. What a tragedy. And the tragedy is like, just give your kids something to eat. Like,
yeah,
don't be so awful to them. And like the line between like it's happy, it's, you know, it's scary, it's sad, it's scary again, or it's scary, it's sad, it's poignant or tragic or whatever. Like I think Edith Finch is excellent because it doesn't just stop at sad. It's after the sad, you're just like, but wait, it's not just sad, it's like criminal or like cruel or designed, right? Like I think that's what's so brilliant about it.
Yeah, it is similar to like what you're saying about The Shining, about like how she sees her life as like cursed, and it's like, well, these bad things keep happening to our family because we're cursed, and not because I keep doing bad things and putting people in horrible
Right.
situations.
Yeah, it's a curse, and then that's I'm responding to the curse by like boarding up every room where someone has died. I'm responding to the curse by making a little graveyard that predicts everyone's death coming in. Like it's part of the family curse that like everyone seems to die in terrible ways. Not the fact that my husband made a dragon slide without any real safety measures involved, or like my daughter was murdered and like or disappeared or whatever, like it was a victim of domestic abuse or random crime or whatever. It's always this sort of like lionized version of a tragic mode, and I think like by the end of Edith Finch, it happens so often. It's one of the brilliant things of that game, I think, is that like it inundates you with death to the point by the end you're just like, I am over this like curse of the family. Like this is a family that has gone through horrible things and has done horrible things to the people in it.
Yeah. And I really like how they made that child death scene. I mean, there's a lot of child death in it, but that
There's so much. Which one do you mean, Liv?
the girl hallucinating and etc.
Yes.
But putting that up front, like it's not like it's building to this like shocking moment of trauma. It's like a story of repetitive trauma to this family, and like locking it all in rooms of the house. Stuff that was also in Poetics of Space was talking about like the idea of like a life story being told in spaces rather than in dates, and like thinking of your life as dates is something for a biographer to do. That's something that's like outside you don't actually think of your life as this happened on this date. You think of like whenever you try to recall the memory, it's always isolated to the space. And whenever you're in a bedroom in your house now, it has echoes of all the bedrooms of houses before that. I've been thinking about it so much being here, and my living spaces have changed so much, and also just like with the break-in and stuff, like having like a traumatic thing happen in the house and trying to like repair the image, the poetic image of the spaces to repair it. Is interesting, but you see it visualized in the Edith Finch house that has become like this like monstrous being that they can't reuse any of these spaces that are like already filled with like these poisoned memories, that these memories, the poetic image has already taken up that space, and it has to be cobbled on and become this like Frankenstein's monster of a building.
Absolutely. And it's another way to like, I mean, what's great about both of these texts is how well they pair together, but also it reminds me a lot of when we did our ghost stories texts with Ghostline Tokyo and it's not Black Snake Moan.
Ghostwire Tokyo and Blackwater Sister.
Blackwater Sister. I always forget Blackwater Sister's name, but it's one of the books. It's actually one of the novels I think about the most. I love that novel.
Made me think about Black Snake Moan. Since we did that,
I always just think Black Snake
Moan.
Like, why am I thinking about this stupid movie? Yeah, unfortunately, Black Snake Moan lives in my head for some reason. It's a real shame. I've never watched a movie, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean that in the same way as in the same vein as that, like these texts pair together so nicely, but like they really explore similar ideas in different but like not mutually exclusive ways. Like I think you can, I did my Winchester House reading of House of Leaves. You can do a Winchester House reading of Edith Finch that takes you a totally different way, where like it's imagining this sort of mad creation or sort of like manic creation as something that you're running away from, that anytime you create a room and live in it, then it has a chance to become othered or
Mm.
burdened or, you know, otherwise unusable. And so you build another one, build another one. It doesn't matter if they hallways lead to nowhere, stairways stop at the top, you know, like 3 stories up and you fall down. Like it's all about building outward to get away from the things that are already destroyed and wrong and broken. And I think you're right. Like it is, I didn't even think about it, but it's almost like when I was playing the game, but the way that the house is, it just keeps building up by the end. And it feels a little bit like a Tower of Babel, or, you know, any of those spaces that are just taller and taller and taller and more maddening as it happens.
Yeah, you can kind of think of it different ways of it being like an escaping from the root problem of it. You can think of it that way, that like you know, Big Edie Edith Finch Sr. has this house of horror down here, and like any of the add-ons are trying to get further and further away of like what's actually the root problem of this family. Or you can see it as almost like a visualization of like the intimacy, that it is not like a picturesque home, that there must be a reason why they've added all these homes, all these rooms on, that there's just so much memory that it can't be contained within the image of a perfect house.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think like there's you know, the older members of the family, like the what's the guy? Odin is the guy that comes over, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Like his version of it is, I have to bring my entire house to America because this is how like you transport the family. You transport the family with the space, right? It's taking that really, really excellent observation you made about spaces and memory and literalizing it in like an impossible way, right? Like it's almost like it's a tall tale. It's like, you know, you put his house on the ship. Of course the ship sank, right? Like it's like, of course it did. And then taking that and then seeing it evolve to the point where when Edith comes to the house, young Edith comes to the house, she sees it as like imposing because all the past is sort of a ghost there. It's like it's dead and ossified and exists to sort of be confronted. Like it's just these two different ways of understanding how the structure embodies the past. And I think you're right in thinking like you know it's a delusion's the wrong word, but it's a rationalization that ends up being worse for everyone involved.
Yeah, I can't separate these like two works in my head. And like it was even before we like decided to do House of Leaves this year, it was like on my I can't remember if it was on my, I write like list of like, you know, just like random goals every year, and I can't remember if it was like last year's or this year because I don't always finish it. But like the idea of like having read House of Leaves was the goal, but it's like was so much more experiential and like so inseparable from the idea of like playing it together with the game and all of the related works in a way that like I think more than any of the other pairings we've had, that's how they wanted you to do it. They were like, you know, you should be having a video game podcast and coming up with something else to connect this to. We want you to have
100%, yes,
a richness of references.
Yeah, I agree. I think anything you could, it is something that's unique to Danielewski that I only really can see otherwise in Acker, where the and I guess maybe the sluts as well, but it's like this sense of whatever reference you want to bring to it, the book is almost thirsty for you to do that. Like you could, you know, it never tires of like bringing new things to it, because of course that's the mode it exists in to begin with, where you're just like, oh, this is a reference upon a reference upon a reference upon a reference, and like that kind of building and I don't know what we say, like the proliferation of reference there encourages you to bring other stuff in. It doesn't, it's not even like, nothing is a stretch. You could bring anything into House of Leaves because of course, like, you know, literally it has the capacity for it with the house itself, but also it's like it throws stuff at the wall too. Is it the Minotaur of Crete? Probably not. But they kind of imply maybe it is. They're like, is it a ghost house like the Amityville Horror? No, but maybe. And it's just like, it's a lot of things that you throw at the wall and they stick or they don't, and the book has really no interest in parsing out which works and which doesn't, which means you as the reader can just bring it in as well.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with me and Daniel's favorite thing that's ever been posted on Blue Sky so far, I think, is friend of the show, Nate Vrunt, posted on that he maddens people, I guess, on Facebook or something, because it'll be like those puzzles where do you know what I'm talking about? This tweet about like
I don't know, but I'm laughing already because I can imagine what Nate does.
The different like vessels filling up, like it'll be like 5 jars at the bottom, and it has like pipes, and it's like which one will fill to the top first? And he just posts like could be any or could be all. Could be any, could be all. And it's like we say that all the time now for things that are clearly supposed to be a correct answer or some sort of binary. And that's how I feel about House of Leaves. Could be any, could be all.
Yeah. No, it's totally right. And I think like there's something very modern about this sort of story and that sort of insight. That's why I really do love Nate's tweets and skeets, and he's a very funny person. But like we talked a little bit. We referenced maybe it was at the beginning. It was when we were already recording the Chair Company, and like one of the interesting things about the Chair Company is watching that after watching The Curse, which was another show sort of like in the same vein. And these shows are all that feeling of like could be all, could be any, as like actualized into a kind of terror or discomfort or paranoia, right? For better or for worse. In The Curse is much less funny than in the Chair Company, intentionally. But the fact that this is becoming a kind of like shibboleth of modern life, like, can you relate to the fact that nothing makes sense and everything is or is not a lie at the same time? Yes, of course you can. And that's just what we live with all the time. It is interesting that House of Leaves is older than one might expect it to be as a result of that.
Do you have an answer for this, Trevor? Because Janine haven't read recently.
Yeah, I also have not read that recently, which is to say I for sure have not read it. Let me look.
But I think there's an infinite amount of book and game pairings. Frequently, when we're recovering other things, I'm like, gosh, I wish this was a GGNoReread too, because it's like my favorite stuff to do. I love that people are actually chatting in this book club. Like that's, kind of the dream, because this isn't supposed to be like a second podcast. Like, it's supposed to be casual and fun. We are just professional yappers when given the opportunity.
Man, this book looks great. 1982 Janine. It's a porno book. It uses pornography as a narrative device, which is I'm already there. That's always really interesting when authors do that. And there's also a ton of typographical work that really seems to be
I see now.
This rules.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would think, honestly, I would say you could go one way, or you could go one of two ways with this, would be my thought. The one way you could go is to do like a really outsider art game like Ice New York, or maybe something like one of the Jack why am I forgetting my friend's name, who did we just talked about it, the game with the claymation,
Jack King Spinner.
Yes, thank you. I immediately thought of Jacksepticeye because that came up as like a thing, like that a video of his came up on my Instagram. I was like, that is not who I mean. Yeah, Jack Egg Spooner. I could see doing that, like a sort of outsider-y game with
They
this.
have their next game that they're fundraising for is supposed to be an extreme horror game, so I'm sure we'll have
Super
abject
exciting
elements in it.
we could even, I mean, we could get Jack on the podcast to do a GG review with us. We could totally do that. But the other one I would think would be interesting is if you just did this with something like Night Trap, like a schlocky game that also got the same critiques about its pornographic use. I think might be very interesting.
I mean, it's stuff that I would like to talk about more, really. Just especially with like this new wave of censorship for games with any kind of.
I mean, the thing with horses is so weird. It's so strange. Like learning more about it, like the fact that Steam or like Valve won't even sort of play the game. Like it's like they don't even know it's in the game. It's so weird. Like it in any other world, it would be like one of those things where I'm reminded of the band Power Man 5000 with Rob Zombie's brother. I'm sure I told this story a million times, but wait, they have a story. Do you remember that song they did? Like, are you ready to go? 'Cause I'm ready to go.
Was it? It was either on like a Tony Hawk or WWE or something. It was either on wrestling. It was on one of those soundtracks.
Totally. No, absolutely.
I think it was on a Tony Hawk game.
And they have they read a passage before they do their song, and it's read by like a Christopher Lee stand-in kind of sounded guy. It's very, it's meant to be something that like, and I guess I didn't listen to the whole album, but like I think they come back to it again and again on the album. And it was supposed to be from this book, and someone asked him about it, and he was like, "Oh, it was this crazy book we found. It was in a thrift store, and it really impacted us. And I don't remember the author. I've never been able to find it again, but we lost it, and now it's just it lives on this record." And I was telling my dad about it. I was like, "Isn't that crazy?" And he's like, "That book is fake. Like they made the book up, Trevor. That's not a real book." I think. I don't know why I started telling that story, but I think the
a Johnny Truant moment for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like not like getting past the point where you're even worried about it being fictional. Like you're just like, now it's real. It's real to me now.
Yeah, it's the poetic image. So
that's right. That's right. Oh, that's a shame. The second half is weaker in 1982 Janine because it solves all the puzzles of the first half in clear prose. That something in perspective, or Disco Elysium. I could see Disco Elysium.
Is that real? I've never seen the number 23. I think it came out before I was a little bit too. I think it came out when I was in middle school, maybe too young to see rated R films.
Did you ever go see a rated R film?
Illegally?
Not illegally, just before you were 17.
In the
theaters, obviously. You probably saw
the one and only actually was Sweeney Todd. I think I was 16 maybe, and like my friend's parent bought us tickets and we just went in.
That's
and
the classic way.
Not an issue.
By the way, it was in WWE. I just learned WWE SmackDown. 3 songs.
Yeah. I played a lot of WWE back in the day.
That's right. Yeah. What was I gonna say about that? I'm losing the thread. Sorry, I've lost the thread. What were we talking about before?
Number 23, rated R films.
Oh yeah, I did a double feature with my friends, and it was the first time I saw a rated R movie in the theater. Their parents bought me tickets. It was Eraser, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, where he shoots 2 alligators and goes, "Your leather," because I guess the alligators are attacking him, which alligators don't really do. They don't want to attack you. They don't. If you bother them, they would, but there's no such thing as attack alligators. I've been around a lot of them in South Carolina, and they don't care.
No.
And then the other one was Independence Day. So I saw Eraser and Independence Day on the same day. I felt very, very grown for like an 11-year-old or
Ooh.
whatever.
The first one that I actually went to go see after I turned 17, which I don't know if 17 is like the R rating age everywhere.
It
but
is. Yeah,
in
that's when you
Louisiana.
can start going.
Mm. And I went the day I turned 17 to see The Hangover with a friend.
Nice.
And it didn't occur to me that they don't know your age. They don't know that you're actually 17 unless you have an ID.
Did they card you?
They carded me, yeah, but I had a dual enrollment with a local college whenever I was in high school, and so I was just like, I showed my college ID. I was like, "Does this work?" And they were like, "Yeah, whatever."
My buddy John Kieran, who is one of the finest people I know. I roomed with him a lot in college. We like roomed probably for, I think we roomed together for 2 years, and then 1 year we were studying abroad at opposite times. But we went to go see, I think we went to go see Kung Fu Hustle by the creators of Shaolin Soccer in theaters. Catch me getting ID'd for an MA movie in Australia when I was 21. But we went to go see it, and John at the time, I think maybe still, did not drive, and at that point, like, militantly did not drive. Was not a person who drove. Anytime he needed to drive somewhere, he'd get a ride and usually take a train or something. I roomed with his girlfriend in Brooklyn when she was going to college at Pratt there, and I was going to NYU. And at one point, he rode a foldable bike across the Brooklyn Bridge to come see us. Like, very into being a pedestrian and a biker. But as a result, Kung Fu Hustle was rated R. He didn't have an ID, and so he had nothing to prove he was 17. And they carded him, and they would not let him go see the movie unless he could prove I couldn't buy him a ticket. I guess I wasn't, his parent or whatever. And so he finally pulls out this giant, I don't even know where the name or his date of birth would have been. Pulls out this giant receipt for dry cleaning that his mom gave. This is this massive thing that he has in his pocket. He's like, if you look here, it says my age and my date of birth. And they were like, all right, fine, go see the movie. Like, whatever, dude.
This is so funny. I in Australia, the drinking age is 18 here. And so you're supposed to card people, I think, if they look under 25 or something like that. I got carded at a book event at the library. Like, it was just like an author talk. Got carded to get a single glass of Prosecco.
Can you imagine being the underage drinker who's like, I got a grade in. There's an author talk going on in the library. I'm gonna get one glass of Prosecco.
Yeah, like 8 ounces of Prosecco.
I'm gonna get so toasted on that. They think I'm gonna fill up on cheese, but I'm not. I'm just Prosecco, baby.
Yep. Well, I'm sure that you're starting to get tired.
Apparently I am, because I don't feel it, but I have been losing trains of thought, which is a good. I did start to worry that maybe that's a sign of memory loss. So if anything tragic happens to me, understand. I'm my full body and mind right now. I appreciate you all for being here, and I appreciate you being here with
that's
all
so
of us.
Disrespectful.
What's disrespectful?
Yeah, I agree. I like getting ID'd at this point now.
I thought you were saying it was disrespectful that I was saying it was nice to be with you all.
No. Yeah, no, this is like my favorite thing, and I love having people to chat back with us.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. I'm glad honestly, this reminds me of why I really enjoy when I really enjoy streaming, is when even when 8 people show up, it just becomes so fun. Like it doesn't have to be 100. Like even just 8 or 9 people, I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, and the podcast is so this is only our second live show. We've done the live shows in public, but people do not talk back to us while we're talking. Oh, I mean, I've only done one of the in-person live shows, but
there were only 3, so 4
so far.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking of doing more. So
yeah,
it would be a longer ride, but we could always Zoom you in,
or you could come here. we'll we'll do it in
What?
Sydney.
I would
No Cartridge down
honestly,
under.
I would honestly it would honestly fill a certain kind of like childhood dream if I could say that I toured Australia. Like, even if it was a lie, and like people would, wow, how many shows did you do? One.
Yeah.
Like it would there's something in me because my band never got to that point. It would be pretty cool to do like a tour in any other different country. I would kind of geek out at that.
That's the thing that major recording artists do here. They come to Sydney and maybe Melbourne, and then they'll be like, well, we toured Australia. We
So
did it. That's all the cities.
it's only about as big as like any place on earth. It's massive, but you know what? We did it. It's fine. It's like Rhode Island, right? It's easy.
But yeah,
Books.
I'm sure we could have the Goose Game people on. What other games are Australian? Some really big indie games are Australian.
The Mad Max game. I think that's was
Perth and only Perth. That's right.
Perth. I have like not a good Australian accent, but I can do it better than a British accent. So I'll just because I've watched this series of Australian and New Zealand shows. So
I think that Australian's a little bit harder to hit than British, but maybe so.
It is harder, but like for whatever reason, there's like it's more of a you have to do something specific. It's like it's lengthening the E's. It's a lot more brighter vowels.
We're gonna have to get your dad on the tour too, and he can do some
brighter. You need him to be brighter.
Elise is in my WoW guild, and we frequently I say things, and I'm like, as we say in Australia, whatever the
impressive
slang or spelling is. Okay, but just a reminder, Neuromancer's up next. It's going to be so much fun. This is my first time reading it, and paired with the MS.
This is your first time reading Neuromancer?
Yes.
Oh, you're gonna have so much fun. It's such a weird book.
I'm already having a lot of fun. You know what I was thinking is like every cyberpunk book kind of feels like it's in Australia. Like whenever they're like set in America, they're always like, would it be strange if it was influenced by Asia? And then you go to Sydney and it's like that's the cyberpunk city of the dreams.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And also there's like any time like in Johnny Mnemonic where there's a whole area of like, oh, you're in the wastes now. Like the tech overlords aren't out here. It's like, what if there was a huge desert? It's like, yeah, what if?
Yeah, and I hate to be like the boss baby, like, I'm getting big boss baby vibes, but I was like, whenever they're like kind of like putting him back together after the Russian mycotoxins or whatever, it did remind me of like the Johnny Mnemonic scene of like being like, put back to.
Oh no,
yeah, hell yeah, Neuromancer. That's insane that they made you read this in high school. I can't imagine reading.
Wild. So I always thought that I did the most out of pocket assigning of a book when I assigned J.G. Ballard's Crash in college, which was awful for all of us. It's just the world inside. It's all right. You're not totally wrong, but you're not wrong. But the like it was awful for everyone. Like I had to make the students read stuff, and it was like, so like, why are they talking about all of the sexual fluids on their pants right now? Like, why does that have to do with the oil in the car? What do you think they're up to? It's like, this is a huge mistake. Neuromancer in high school might be worse for different reasons.
I just can't imagine reading something that, it's not the pulpiest thing I've read, but it's a bit pulpy. It's like, it's, fun. And I mean, I'm only 60, 70 pages in, but I don't know. I just can't imagine reading something that wasn't so like
capital S serious
clean,
literature,
clean cut. Yeah. So that's cool. I did see, cool. I think Australia has interesting stuff on their reading list. It's definitely different stuff, which makes sense because we read so much American lit in school, I think.
Yeah.
So Like apparently a book that's like really popular for elementary school reading list is like this kind of like not cyberpunk, but like a dystopian middle grade novel about living in the Taronga Zoo, which
Ooh,
is like the big zoo in Sydney. It's like these
that
like
sounds
boys,
fun.
like a Lord of the Flies outside of the Taronga Zoo. Reading it for school would be weird to me, but I was in the good boy, goody two shoes classes for kids who actually. Oh, yeah.
Dickens rules, though.
I
Dickens
know
is
about
so
the goody
fun.
two shoes classes.
I did a Victorian lit class where we read so much Dickens and Anthony Trollope. It ruled. George
This is
Eliot.
such a good class.
That's
Jeez, I didn't.
sweet. Ah,
I was
cool.
very lucky. My AP English class was supposed to be like Brit Lit or something like that, but she instead, it was her last year teaching, so she was just like, "I'm just going all out. Whatever you want to read that's on the AP list, I will read too."
That's so sick.
And she must have had to like be reading like 10 books concurrently to like teach to different sections and groups of students in each class. But like I read like 100 Years of Solitude, which only me and one other person wanted to read at that time, or reading, like I got to read Lolita for that class, which definitely was not on the
Lolita.
reading list. And I don't remember what else, like Heart of Darkness, stuff like that.
Mm.
Stuff that was maybe on some, but you wouldn't ever be like, I'm assigning 100 students to read this right now. But
Yeah, you can go mad with power. I assigned Brendel. Do you remember the old poster, Brendel what? The old Twitter poster, who has the famous tweet of "Hello, sir. A briefcase full of jelly beans opens." I assigned his book of poems to a class one time. It's just like utter madness. What a choice that was. But I was like, yeah, Brendel deserves some book sales. I'll give him 16 books. Seems good. Nice guy.
do you want me to preview 2 of our books that are coming up next year?
I do. I'll even mute my mic so I don't interrupt you.
You can interrupt.
I'm
It's
just
not.
kidding. I'm joking.
So talking about The Beach by Alex Garland in conjunction with Far Cry 3. I think that'll
I've
be
never played Far Cry
fun.
3.
I haven't played Far Cry either. Recently. I mean, I haven't played Far Cry 3
It's
recently.
been a while.
Yeah, I think I don't think I actually I read it again whenever I was like in my 20s, but I knew about as much French both times that I read it.
Which is to say, fully fluent.
Yeah, fairly literate. Speaking not as much, but reading, yeah. And then talking about the 7 Moons of Molly Almeida, which, hold on, what did I say we were playing with this?
I can pull it up.
I'm pretty sure it's Murdered Soul Suspect. I think that's
it is Murdered Soul Suspect. Yes.
So kind of some different choices here. You can always, I guess, watch the movie. I've not seen the movie either, so I'm going into this very fresh. And then this is newer, but a beloved book from 2022. And then if we want a modern classic, we are doing The Lathe of Heaven by Ursula K. Le Guin with Psychonauts.
Oh yeah, there you go. I was like, what was it? Oh no. That was actually a very inspired pairing, honestly. I remember looking at that and being like, oh wow, that's fantastic. It's just like what a good way of thinking about The Lathe of Heaven. Because you could do so many things like I'm sure there's a number of ways you could read it, but like the idea of actually going through people's minds as like very, very good.
Yeah, I tried to get like a mix of kind of odd pairings mixed with more classic stuff. And then our 4th pick for the year will be, I don't know, it might be Gravity's Rainbow.
That would be fun. I'm getting sold on it.
Yeah, not exactly sure when we'll be doing that, but I think Neuromancer, that episode and the live show will be in January, I believe, because I think
Yep.
we're still we were a little bit delayed in doing this the House of Leaves episode and live show, but you know, life happens.
Things happen. We got there. That's the thing.
You know what? That's divine intervention.
I do appreciate that you are living the lathe of heaven life, my friend. Getting the earth. Listen, I mean, we do our best. It would be cool if you were like the Bruce Almighty kind of figure in the world, that like you're the protagonist of reality. It would be cool to know the protagonist of reality, I feel like.
Yeah. It wouldn't be bad.
I have to.
You might get some plot armor.
Or, I mean, if you're an acquaintance, I don't know, you might get fridged. I would be very worried. Yeah, that might be scary.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This live show was very fun. I think I like chatting with people, and
yeah, it was great.
Continuing to be excited about GGNoReread, and I think Neuromancer will be a really fun one, especially because we'll get to talk about transmedia narratives, which I don't think we've ever done on anything before. Talking about like we've never done like the Matrix game with the movies, or I don't really. I'm sure there's a whole list of games that have transmedia narratives, but
it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I guess we could have done the Blade Runner game with Do Androids Dream, but that's like 3 steps removed. This is much different.
It made a lot more sense to do Pokemon with Do Androids Dream. We were so young.
My Mareep is so it's so real. It is not an android, and no one will convince me otherwise.
Oh. You know what? I'm just trying to be optimistic.
Hey, callback. All right, now I am getting tired. I should probably go to bed.
Yeah, so thank you so much to everyone for coming. Obviously,
yes, you know,
if you would like more book stuff, I'm always doing book stuff on my YouTube channel.
Yes, subscribe. Like, Liv's channel is fantastic.
Oh, thank you. But then we'll be on No Cartridge yapping
always
regularly.
like we do anything else but be on No Cartridge and yap. Come on.
Yeah. Any shout outs, Trevor? Anything you want to say?
No shout out. I think we've said it all. I'll say if anyone's looking for a fun, it's funny that you said Pokemon, but if anyone's looking for a fun little game, I've been playing Cassette Beasts, which is fantastic. It's very fun. It's a quirky little game, and it's very Pokemon-y. But the interesting thing is when you sort of meet up with the big bad bosses in the world, they use mixed media to represent them within a game that's all pixel art. Otherwise, it's a very neat little game. A lot of fun. Very, very playable. Very easy to pick up and put down. Might scratch an itch for those of you who are into that sort of thing.
Well, wonderful. I have your Blue Sky linked below.
Thank you.
And I don't know if I have like our No Cartridge linked below. So I think that's everything. So yeah, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.